fucker. Come on, Mercy! Come on!
Hey, welcome back. This is round 4 of the New Brunswick Dirt Rider Association's Hare Scramble series. And this one's taking place in Hartsville PEI.
Hands on your head, come on!
Here we are on the line, and we're about to go.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Alright, well, that wasn't my best start. And honestly, as I looked to my left and looked to my right and chatted with the guys on the line, I knew I was in trouble, and it almost felt like I'd lined up on the expert line with the way these guys blasted off. So somewhere in this mix, I think I'm in about 10th, and that kind of holds true. I think I finished 9th overall in this particular race, which is fine. It keeps adding to my points, and the first race of the season I actually did well and podiumed. So I'm still in contention to potentially podium at the end of the entire series, but that seems unlikely because the next race is in Riverglade, and that incorporates a motocross track. And what I know about motocross, well, let me tell you. And there you go, all done. I do like riding here in Hartsville, and on this track it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of these S-turns like this, and some areas where you can grip and rip, but there's something about this track that doesn't seem to give pause, or the transitions are too sudden and you're going from one thing right into the other, and it just wears you out. That's my deep analysis that I just came up with right now. In any event, like I said, I don't typically do well here, so my focus is just to try and be consistent from start to finish. Where I do alright on this course is I don't typically get hung up on any of the technical obstacles. So, case in point right here, I get by Jody, and I think that's Daryl. Daryl's going to get by me later on, but I do hold off Jody and stay ahead of him for the race. If you're looking at this and you say, well, that's new, you would be right. This is not part of what was here before. This road-like cut that's right beside me is probably indeed going to be a road, because this property is going to end up being turned into a pit for shale. So this may be the last year that we race here, though there will be another location in PEI. This section coming up here sort of illustrates what I was talking about. You get into this wide area here and you think you just grip and pin and go, but because you get a sweeping right followed by this left and then dive right back into the woods, you can't really go too fast. If I had more skill, maybe I would, and I'd just grip and pin and then brake hard and dive in, but it's just one of those rough transitions, for me anyway. Feeling like maybe I could go faster, but maybe that's true. I don't know. Again, just trying to stay consistent. And to that point, I was very deliberate about not really jumping up my pace to get by other people. Right now, Aaron's going to dive into the woods and he's going to hold his own just fine, but I will get by him eventually. This section coming up was new last year, I think, and there were some challenging lines. If you took a bad line, you got caught up in the trees and you had to slow down quite a bit. So I did walk this section before the race and tried to really focus on staying on the good lines. And fortunately, the good lines are ones that are usually beat in, and I just needed to follow what other better riders did, so that's what I did, mostly.
Shit.
And I think last year that line there where I said shit was the low line which put you in between two trees, but one of those trees isn't there anymore. And it's probably not there because of Hurricane Fiona. If you look to my left, you can see a lot of downed trees. PEI and Nova Scotia, I think, bore the brunt of Fiona, And a lot of folks lost some beautiful trees off their property. Okay, right here, Aaron does give me the pass, and I forget to say thank you, Aaron. So, Aaron, thank you for letting me by on the inside line. And shortly after this, I think Daryl's going to get by me, and he's going to carry on to a hard charging pace that actually takes him to a third place finish overall. It is kind of surreal to be riding through these downed trees, and you can tell how much work went in trying to cut these trails back out. I know the guys were at it for quite some time to cut this out, so thanks to them and hats off for being able to make this happen. I don't know if there is any silver lining to Hurricane Fiona. Maybe just the sense of community was once again proven, and people came out and helped neighbors, and things got done that needed to get done. In a very minute way, I suppose, here, it did open up the sight lines as far as trail riding. That's not much of a silver lining. I think I'll hang my hat on the community part. You know, as I watch this, I'm trying to wonder, why am I not going faster? And I think it's probably at this point my arms are a little pumped out, and I'm looking down more than I'm looking up, because I'm clearly sitting down, so I'm not up and riding in the attack position. That's just, I don't know, I think that's just the beginning of the race, and I haven't quite warmed up yet. I hope that's the case. Maybe I need a better warm-up routine. Or maybe I just need to suck it up and twist that throttle a little bit more. It's probably more of that, less of the warm-up, although the warm-up probably wouldn't hurt.
Come on.
This is where I start chirping myself because I know I'm slowing down a little bit when I really need to go faster. This little section here is going to get pretty chewed out. The roots are going to get really exposed, but like I said, the technical stuff didn't really catch me out. I was able to get through most of it clean every lap. I've said in some of my older videos that you don't necessarily make time going up the hills if you clean them, but you could certainly lose time if you don't. And that applies to all these obstacles, the roots, these kind of hill climbs where it's a bit beat out. If you get stopped on them, you're going to have a hard time getting going again. And if you got to get off and push, your heart rate's going to spike. And so if you want to know how to get up over these kinds of obstacles, well, it's going to come down to balance. If you practice some backyard balance, doing those tight figure eights, practice getting over some obstacles with a little bit of clutch play, you're going to be okay. You're going to improve your game that much more to get over this kind of crappy stuff. And just as I say that, I get past. And that's Mike on bike 137. He is in my class, so I can't let that stand, and I don't. I get by him later on. I don't know if it's this lap or some other subsequent lap, so yay me. Oh yeah, I forgot about this little spot. So Mike must have stalled just as he came over that log, and I was coming over ready to jump the log because I was thinking about passing him, because like I said, I just couldn't let that stand. And then I thought I was going to pass him here, and so I didn't let it stand. I actually just laid everything down. And this is where my heart rate jumped.
Come on, regroup. Catch your breath.
And as I try and regroup and get back on pace, I promptly smack a tree and get off pace. At this point, I was all kinds of disturbed. I was angry at Mike, though not his fault at all, so I harbor no ill will. I was angry at myself for trying to get around and not getting my back tire out of that rut, or not just going down in the rut and riding it out. And this is where you can set your game way back. If you can't recenter yourself and have a little bit of mental agility, take that deep breath, refocus, and ride your ride. And right now, that's what I'm trying to do. Just trying to get back on pace, stay focused, keep my breathing in check, try not to do anything wild. Don't ride angry.
You gotta catch your breath, buddy.
Something else I've noticed is that right after you bounce off a tree or you have a near miss, you tend to slide back on the seat. You just default back to those terrible body positions. So if that happens to you, pinch up on that fuel tank a little bit, get ready to stand up and recenter yourself. You can control the bike so much better when you're up in the attack position than if you're sitting down, and particularly if you're sitting down at the back of the bike. Getting the rev bombs. I gotta find a spot to get hauled over and let somebody by. And here's that spot. And there goes Tyler. Tyler's racing intermediate B, and he's gonna put down a really good first lap. He does slow down a little bit in subsequent laps, but I think he's burning a fair amount of energy. But you know what? Youth is a wide, deep river. Oh Lord Jesus. You know, it's funny how we always get religion right at the time where we think we're about to crash and hurt ourselves. Tyler's not messing around getting on that throttle. I could learn a few lessons there. I have no idea who this is going to be up in the trees, but they were there for a few laps, so they kind of hung out for quite a while. It must have been a good spot. Last year, I found the bottom of that ditch every time, and I almost pitched myself over the handlebars, driving the front end down into it. So this year I made it a point of at least wheeling across it, although I did jump it most of the time. So I'm going to give myself a little tick in the box there and say, that's a win. On subsequent laps, this whole straightaway was done a lot faster. The first time through though, you just kind of want to see what's out there because there are quite a few routes, and going off track is going to be painful. another fast rider coming up on me, and this is going to be Lucas on bike 767. Lucas is in intermediate B, and he's going to take first place. He's going to sit on the podium for this race. And I can see why. You can see how he punches it out of each of these corners and just starts to gap me pretty fast. Just sitting in that attack position, although he did drop down for a couple of these corners, which is a good smart move and a way to keep that front end planted. But then he's going to pop right back up here in a second and just keep going. My back hurts just watching that. In the next couple seconds we're going to pop up on the track, and there is two little jumps. The first one is a good one and you can just send it, although I don't. I wish I sent it a little bit harder. I do get on it a little bit. And the second jump right here drops into this kind of mud pit, which was getting kind of rutted out, and I wasn't feeling super confident, but in subsequent laps I did go a little harder and managed to send it past most of that crap. And there goes Jonathan on bike 107, also riding intermediate B, and also a podium finisher. He takes third overall for the intermediate B. So you remember I was talking about not wanting to give up my lunch money? Although these guys are not racing in my class, I just feel like I'm getting shaken down here a little bit. I gotta up my game. And driving into that big rut is not upping my game. It's been a pretty long video, but it is the first full lap, which goes by for me in about 18.5 minutes or something like that, maybe closer to 19. Subsequent laps are in that 20 to 22 range, but ultimately I run 5 laps, I take 9th overall, and that puts me in a solid 4th place in the total points for this Hare Scramble series, which is not terrible, except for the fact that the next race is going to be at Riverglade, and, well, the guys that are faster than me are quite a bit faster than me. So I don't think there's a podium for me at the end of this series, but I'm pretty close. So I'm going to go out there and give her, just like it might happen.